I don't even need to introduce anything. We've just won 5-0.
And that's all right.
5-0.
And that's
Welcome
all right.
to Red Devils Talk, and I'm honestly, we're all the happiest people in the world. What a victory, guys!
Wait, we won?
Well, you got picked like a saptar, so it doesn't look
I didn't watch the match. I saw your guys' tweets when you reacted to the team news. I assumed we had no chance, so I thought I'll get in that.
Say that. I was happy with the team, but boys, absolutely buzzing! What a victory! I can't even put it into words because we've just played the finalists from last season. We've just played the semi-finalists as well. The sort of, I would say, the hipster team. I would say they're the dark horses that everyone sort of tips with the fantastic up-and-coming sort of generational manager. And we've just put 8 goals past them. No, 7 goals. Can't even count. I'm just so buzzing. I can't even count. That is incredible, isn't it, Mark? I mean, what an incredible performance and what an incredible way and a statement to sort of say to everyone else that's doubting Man United that 2 fingers up to you.
Yeah, brilliant result. We were brilliant in every area, and it was really good to see tonight. I think I said to you guys just before the show that we needed something like that. And to get 5 goals, to be so convincing, to defend so well, to have the commentators even saying many times tonight, you know, what a rich bench we've got to come on. It was really wonderful to see tonight. I'm really pleased. I'm pleased that Martial got a penalty. I said that it was fantastic that Rashford handed him and still got his hat trick. And it was yeah, brilliant. Really pleased. And as I said, I don't want to get ahead of myself again. It's 1 win, 2 great wins in the Champions League, but we need to bring this to the Premier League and get some stability there. But again, it's shown that over the last few weeks of gaining match fitness that that was a real problem, and we're proving now that we're starting to get our match fitness now. We're looking good.
The no preseason thing is really looking very evident now, because in the first 3 games when Ollie would change the system even slightly, all of a sudden everybody looked lost. They didn't know where to be. Their men were running free. And now in the last week between Newcastle, Chelsea, PSG, RB Leipzig, we have played 2, 3, maybe even 4 different systems, and everybody has been completely locked in to all of them. They know exactly what their responsibilities are. And that just comes from having time, having time to work on it.
That was all right, wasn't it? Just having the 5 goals. It was a relief as well. It's just where so many people were doubting what we were doing. And also, I think I said it in the group chat, is we only have to win 2 more games against Istanbul. We're basically through. So that is excellent. The fact that we're able to rotate and still keep up the level of performance we had against PSG, it kind of puts us in a really good situation for Sunday as well against Arsenal, because really you have Bruno and Rashford only coming on with, 65th minute, roughly around there. So having that is also a real big benefit. I don't think you could have any complaints with kind of how it happened today. It was an excellent performance from all the players.
Absolutely. Guys, before we go ahead, just make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We've done up the graphics. I think it's looking pretty sweet. And what a way to celebrate for our first ever show by a 5-0 win. Joe, I mean, look, come on. I don't think people are giving United enough credit this season. We know that it's been a slow start, and I'm also been one of them that's been a bit critical of the slow start. And we can see now that how big of a difference that, preseason's had, how much of a difference just, a prolonged period of 5-6 games can actually take for a team to get to its top level. But United have options. I mean, you just look at the starting 11. I was really happy with the starting 11 today. I was a bit worried about the defense, because obviously we know what Leipzig can do. And I think while United were fantastic, Leipzig still played well in that first half, maybe that first 60 minutes. But to go in and have the likes of Cavani, Bruno on the bench, where you can actually rest them. I mean, United, this can really be a special season for United. Obviously, we've got to calm down a little bit. But going forward later on in the season, when we've got game after game after game, and we can just bring in Bruno, we can swap around with Van der Beek. It's phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah, no, first of all, I mean, I'm wondering how this can get any better tonight, to be honest, than that performance. And then I realised we've got a listener here who's watching in Mauritius. So probably that's how it can probably get better, to be honest, if you watch.
Joe's so excited that he even jumped on and didn't forget to unmute himself.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm prepped tonight, guys. I know what I'm doing, but no, I'm just, really pumped. And like you say, you look round at that bench now. Ollie, more importantly, looks round at that bench, and he's got so many options. And really, when you think about it, obviously Van der Beek came in this summer, so in terms of numbers, you know, it's not massive what he's brought in, but Van der Beek frees up so many different positions and allows you to play so many different combinations as well. And obviously, we've seen Fred with McTominay tonight. We've seen Fred and Matic work to an extent. I just think one player's obviously opened up a few different positions. Even though it's only one player, it's actually given us the opportunity to be flexible in different ways, and more importantly, play different formations. So, like, obviously, I think we've seen 3 different formations in the last 3 games. Arguably, I mean, I don't know how they were set up tonight. It wasn't exactly clear, I don't think, always. But, you know, we played the 3 at the back against PSG. Obviously, then we went back to the traditional formation at the weekend against Chelsea, and tonight some people suggesting we played the diamond. I just think it just gives us so many. One signing's just giving us so many options. So yeah, absolutely buzzing. And I just think games are all about moments, aren't they? And I think obviously today we've had a couple of big moments in this. The Greenwood goal, obviously one chance, one goal. I think that's his first shot in the Champions League as well. Somebody was saying. Best finisher at the club, bar none. Yeah, and then obviously the second goal is massive as well, because obviously I don't think they're catching Rashford, so I don't think they've got an argument where they can say they stop playing. The goalkeeper made an attempt to save it, so I just think it was just them 2 moments changed the whole game, and then we saw how that affected Leipzig in the last half an hour.
Yeah, I you know what? You took the words right out of my mouth, Joe. I was going to mention about the formations. You know, people are beating on all season, and even last season. You know, we're a one-trick pony that can only play a certain style of football in a certain formation. But as you rightly said, we've shown in the last few weeks that we have 2 or 3, maybe 4 to choose from, and that's really good to see.
And it's all in response to losing 6-1. Like, this is how you respond to losing like that.
You couldn't ask for a better response, really, could you? I mean, it was great. It was really great. And
could ask you to beat Chelsea, but like, I'm not begging.
No, but you know what? And I was going to say that as well. Our track record after a win in the Champions League is pretty woeful. So, the fact we got a draw out of Chelsea, and the fact that we played relatively good, we were a bit unfortunate to get sort of more of a result, was really good to see. And I hope that we can go into the next game against Arsenal and get something from it. You know, it's been a very, very difficult run of games, and yes, we lost awfully against Spurs, but we beat PSG. We drew against Chelsea, which was a big point for us. We've beaten Leipzig. Hopefully we can go in with the same momentum. Everyone looks like they're really picking up the pace, and we're getting the worst bit out of the way. So you know, there's nothing to be unhappy about, and I'm really proud of them tonight. Brilliant.
Yeah, one of those comments said it perfectly. Put some respect on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's name, because again, everybody you see it every single week. Now, some are from our own fans, but a lot are from opposition fans, and it's all about, oh, it's a PE teacher. Well, everybody has been talking about Nagelsmann, and really you saw the difference in class in the 2 teams. When it wasn't working for Leipzig going up the middle, you didn't see anything different. United were fairly comfortable defensively in that game. Really, you saw most of the big opportunities come in was from their 2 centre halves in Konate and Upamecano coming in for headers. But other than that, was there really any big opportunities that they had in the game? I don't think so. And yeah,
their XG was 0.46. Less than half a goal. Half a goal. They got nothing.
But that's what I'm saying. It's one of those that if we're gonna always give credit to these young managers and we see them playing against other oppositions, and yet nobody can give any credit to Solskjaer when he continuously beats teams when it's in those big games. I think it needs to get to the point of where people need to lay off him. There's going to be bad results, but with Solskjaer, you get a manager that knows how to set up his team for the big games. We've seen it in the Champions League this season. We saw it when he was there against PSG, where we didn't really have a hope of winning that time. We came away with it. You see it in the Premier League. We beat Man City 3 or 4 times last year. We've seen a lot of other games. I think the only ones where we've kind of struggled are against Arsenal from last season. So if he continues the way he is, especially in those big games, I think people need to start kind of giving him some respect and stop calling him just he wins because of because of individual talent. You don't do that. All managers can win because of that, but you also have to have tactics for the way you play in an offensive style, but also defensively. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for kind of the last 2 weeks.
It's not a competition, and we shouldn't make it a competition between the two of them, but I'm just going to say Chelsea won 4-0 today, and Ollie went ahead and won up Mr. Lampard.
Yeah.
Mate, don't even put Lampard in the same discussion. Look, I'm going to come in.
And also we played Leipzig, who are top of the Bundesliga.
Yeah, they're a bit better than Kranzador.
Yeah, exactly. Look, guys, I'm going to come in here because I know obviously I've been the one out of all of us I'm not Ollie out. I've never been Ollie out, but I've always been someone that has had doubts. But you know what? You got to take a hat off to him. And what I'm very, very, very impressed with Ollie is that he does get it on in the big games. I've been saying this consistently. Like even last week against Chelsea, I wasn't happy with the formation, but I was like, he does it in the big games. And I'm really, really happy. What I will say is that the ones that have been saying PE teacher, Ollie out, abusing him, and you know, some of the most disgusting things you see online, you're not allowed to enjoy today's victory. You're not allowed to, because at the end of the day, if you can't support the team when they're doing poorly, then you shouldn't be allowed to enjoy the side when they're doing well. And at the end of the day, you can have your constructive criticisms, but to turn around and to abuse your own manager and to hope that United lose. I've seen people supporting Tottenham over the weekend because of Mourinho. It's embarrassing. Don't embarrass our club like that.
Fanboys.
Is that just our fan base, though, Haider, to be fair? I mean, does it matter who's in charge? I mean,
are they actually fans, though? That's the thing. I don't see it.
Like after the 6-1 loss, I said there are legitimate questions you can ask about Ollie, but like it's the people that were harping on the illegitimate ones. And I said there are legitimate questions here, and he needs to go out there and answer them. And he's not going to have a lot of time to do it. And what has he done?
He's doing it now, and he's got my support. What I will say is, like, at the end of the day, like I always say, it could be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as manager, it could be Mickey Mouse as manager. I don't care. Like, you got to judge them on the result. At the end of the day, Ole had 6 games, right? 6 games after the Spurs defeat to save his jobs, and he's done that. So he deserves the time now. If he wins against Arsenal, we beat Everton. It's a ridiculous turnaround, and Ole does this. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying, look, I am one of those that says, yes, okay, you know, I'm not happy with this, not happy with that, and I will criticize, but I will never go and abuse him, because at the end of the day, it's so toxic for our fan base. We've already got a split fan base. So what I will say is, guys, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm loving all the interaction. I'm loving the positivity. It's amazing. I'm doing a show tomorrow with Rob Blanchett, and we're going to break that down tactically. That's going to be fun as well. I'm just looking at some of the comments from James Jackson. James, it's been a while. Anyone seen Rick the Red? Yeah, there's some very, very funny things. But look, guys, what I'll do is I'm going to read out some of the questions here. They're pinging in. Wow, this is great. 1 second. Alua Seiji, I hope I'm saying your name right, mate. Thank you for getting involved. Do you think, I'm going to give this to Pauly, do you think we stick with playing 4 midfielders going forward in the 2 attacking, 2 defensive distribution? Would you go for an extra attacking midfielder against Arsenal? Pauly, talk to me and talk to listeners a little bit about how we set up today, and talk about those midfield options, because a lot of people have been asking about it. I don't think there's one set way going forward, if I'm being honest. You've got to change it game by game.
Yeah, I do think we will see some variation of this, though. Everybody's been harping on the diamond, and you finally got it tonight. The reason I was against the diamond was because people wanted Van de Beek, Bruno, Pogba, and that's too much attack. Like this is how Sir Alex Ferguson responded to losing 6-1. Solskjaer's doing the same thing. He's bolstering up that midfield to make sure that you're protecting your defense. He's brought in an extra defensive midfielder in every game. So when you have 2 and 2, then the diamond works. But the diamond is also really working because Marcus Rashford is becoming a viable option on the right side. In the past, Rashford and Martial were useless on the right side. They offered no production, no nothing. Suddenly, Rashford's becoming an option there. Now, if Rashford and Martial can play as split strikers and Rashford can be productive on the right side, that opens the door to doing this 2 and 2 thing, which allows you to bring Pogba and Bruno on, put them on opposite sides of the field, give them both space. They could both go in the middle. They could both interchange. You have that defensive cover with 2 midfielders, and it opens up the door to do a lot of different things. And like you said, Haider, like it's going to be a lot of different things, but this adds It adds options, which makes it easier to rotate the team, which is going to help keep everybody fresh, which is how you're going to see, whatever the 11 we pick for 65 minutes, they're going to go out there and do the job. And then the firepower coming off the bench becomes scary.
Yeah, I think that's how United have got to look at it now. It's not going to be about the starting 11. It never really is. I mean, I don't know how many of our viewers watch rugby, but I mean, obviously Eddie Jones, who's coming to England, he's a big believer in the substitutes are a big part of the overall performance. He calls them the finishers, and I think that's the key. The guys who come on for the last 25 minutes now, because they're so good, they're just integral to the game plan as the guys who start the game. I mean, United today, they've kept it tight. They've got a goal lead, and then they bring on Bruno Fernandes and Rashford. I mean, Leipzig don't want to see that. No team wants to see that. Who wants to see? I mean, we've seen it with Pogba in the last couple of games. Pogba's his best performances this season has been when he's come on for the last half an hour, 20 minutes, and that's because he's fresh. And against a tiring team, these players are going to be really effective. And I've seen someone say there about Ollie, don't question him again. I just think it doesn't matter who's manager at Manchester United, they'll get questioned. Ollie's called a PE teacher. I think if Nagelsmann was the United manager, he'd probably be called the Fruit Loop in a snazzy suit or something. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who United's manager is. They will always get questioned for something. And with just such a huge fan base, you're never going to please anybody anyway. But the United fan base is so huge.
But Joe, what you said is spot on about things and I've had to mute you guys before games now because, and it's not just
you. Ciaran, by the way. Ciaran is like Jekyll and Hyde.
So many people on Twitter also, but you see the team come out and everybody reacts to, oh no, look at that. Oh, Neymar and Mbappe running at Lindelof, Werner and Havertz running at Lindelof and Maguire, and it's okay, but. Don't forget, first of all, Ollie's going to account for that by, changing it tactically. Did he play too conservatively against Chelsea? In my opinion, yes, but he neutralized Chelsea. And he very much neutralized Leipzig. But at the same time, Chelsea went and played very conservatively because they were scared of Rashford and Bruno coming back the other way. And Leipzig were afraid of that today. So, everybody always looks at when the team comes out is what are our weaknesses? But you forget that we've got weapons too, and other teams have to account for that, and they're scared of that. And then when you have the ability to bring on a Pogba or a Fernandes or a Rashford off the bench, that is such a game changer.
Yeah, and I was guilty of that definitely today because I said in the group chat as soon as I saw the team, no free at the back. Pauly, you obviously stated to me that fair enough, he's probably not going to go free at back at home, and that's a good point to be fair. But Chelsea won the Premier League under Conte, didn't they? Playing three at the back week in, week out. You can play at home and still be effective. So, but I mean, I was surprised, and I can hold my hands up to that. But I think you're right, Paulie, and I think I've been guilty of it sometimes. I think you see a team sheet and you think instantly how our team's going to hurt us rather than looking at it the other way and being like, actually, how are we going to hurt them with these players we got on the pitch and the energy and quality that's going to come off the bench late in a game?
Well, but the reason you do that is because we all know the attacking talent we have, so we know how we're going to hurt them. So it's only natural for a fan to look at how is another team going to try and attack us, and that's the big key. So nobody's ever going to be happy with every single player that starts a game, especially when you have a big squad, because there's certain players that you would prefer to play in a certain game over another. Like, for example, you'll see
all week, debate. It's in the news because everybody just wants to see him.
Exactly. But then you could probably look on Twitter that there was a lot of people that were pissed off that Bruno wasn't starting. But again, it worked. And I think we all said it at the start that it makes sense because of the amount of big games that we have coming up as well, that you have to rotate. But I think the reason why you'll see a lot of people focus in on the defense in big games like this is because it hasn't been, in certain games, it has been shaky, and you have to look at where are Leipzig most dangerous when it came up against us. Luckily, I think we were very compact defensively. everybody played together quite well. They defended as a team, which at times I don't think we've done in the Premier League. We've left those big gaps between the midfield and the defense, and really
in September it was a huge problem. But that's also the thing. Like, the defense was poor in September because Matic was out of whack, and against Crystal Palace, McTominay let people run free. So maybe that's a symptom of the whole preseason thing that we're talking about. That some of the midfield players that they just weren't ready enough for the season, and now that we see that they are, that you see there's that gap between the midfield and defense has closed, and you don't see as much space as we saw in those first few games. And with that, it's very viable to be able to use that kind of back four or back five system, no matter kind of what game comes up. And it's always good to have both of those formations in your pocket, depending on what happens in a game.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to jump in with some questions. Guys, thank you so much for all your comments. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can also find us, as you can see on the bottom, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well. Just type in Elite Football Show if you don't want to see our faces every single week. You can hear us while you're doing something on the
Why
commute.
would they not want to see these faces, mate? Why would
mate, just sometimes people just can't take how good looking.
Why don't you just put Mark on the screen? You could get rid of the rest of us.
Yeah, that's true. Mark, I'm going to come to you. Zakir, thank you very much, mate. I love your support. Thank you so much for all your support as usual, and thank you for your question today. Mark, how important is Fred? Because Zakir feels he's so underrated. What a shift he puts in. Look, Fred. Quickly though, sorry. Fred is one of those players I think that probably does divide opinion a little bit, because I think he's someone who isn't flashy but actually is integral. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think I've probably been on his back a number of times. It took a season to really get involved, but we can't forget that for the first half of the season with Pogba out and no Bruno Fernandes, yes, we weren't great and we weren't getting many goals, but he was brilliant. And I know that he gives the ball away sometimes. He can be a little bit rash with his passes, but everybody needs to start from somewhere, and it's all about experience and it's all about sort of refining those moments. So I do think he's good. And I saw another comment actually. Thanks for the comments, guys. Really good ones tonight. McTominay, we need to upgrade on either one of those two. Now, maybe we've had this debate on a previous show where who's the more likely to stay, who would we prefer to stay, and I think, if I'm honest, and I still say this, Fred, he is a lot more integral. I think Ollie sees him in his plans. He's obviously played these games when we didn't even probably expect to see him. We expect to see Matic and then Bruno and Pogba, but he is brilliant. He is good. He's very underrated, and he does a lot more. He's one of those like Carrick where he very unsung really, and he does a lot more than what they're giving credit for, and midfielders tend to get that a bit more, don't they? But I do really like him. I think he's very technically gifted, and it's great to see him in the team, and I think that he is an integral part. I like him. Yeah,
he was tremendous, and he's got a difficult role in this diamond, because he's got to get wide, he's got to come back, he's got to fill in for Wan-Bissaka. He's got a lot to do, and I thought his industry was great in the first half. And then it was typical Fred. He was great. He was a nuisance to play against. He won the ball back. And then when he did, every pass was just like a little bit off. And it was like just a little bit behind you, and it slowed things down. But that's fine. And then you bring on McTominay at the end to, play 20 minutes and kill it off. I texted you guys I'm a little worried that it's 1-0 and we're taking off Matic, who brings so much stability to the midfield. But I got to be honest with you, I thought McTominay played better tonight than he did against PSG. On the ball, he was fantastic.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, that's the kind of, we've only seen that really one other time, which was the last 20 minutes against Newcastle. But that's the McTominay that we want to see more of. This
Man City last year as well.
Yeah, but he made, at one point, he got the ball right at the edge of the final third, and Bruno was running wide to the right. And that was such an easy, simple pass that he would take 99 times out of 100. And instead, he makes the very incisive pass to Rashford that should have been through, but Rashford, for some reason, decided, I'm going to run at this defender and dive into him, which turned into a set piece that we were unlucky not to score on. So it was all around great. But the pass from McTominay, normally he plays that out to Bruno and then you get the ball out on the wing. The fact that he was looking for Rashford and then he made some other great pass, I was really impressed with him in his cameo tonight.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point there, especially when Mark says that we kind of spoke about who should we keep in terms of McTominay and Fred? I think you have to keep them both because they do different things. What I was very impressed with Fred, and you get it a lot. He's that battler in midfield that he never stops going. And like Pauly says, the one part of his game that has to improve is the accuracy with his passing, especially against a team that's going to press you, because he was the key to be able to get out of that press. And when his passes were on point, we got out very easily. But there was a good 20, 25 minutes in that game that it just wasn't happening for him. Even at the end of the first half, we had kind of a 2-on-1 on the left, and it just went behind. I think it was Martial or Shaw that was out there, and it slowed it up, and at that stage the whistle goes. It's little things like that he needs to improve on, but I don't think you can criticize him too much, because I think he had an excellent game, and especially
and he's starting to shoot on target now.
Eventually, he nearly scored. It's crazy, but then I think
baby steps. I'm just saying, you're shooting on target now. Maybe one day it'll go in. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm holding
let's not run before we can walk, mate.
Yeah, but the one thing I like, even with McTominay coming on, is I find he was more direct today. That he wasn't just kind of waiting for the pass; he was moving, and then when he saw Rashford up there, he just went straight to him. And you can see that McTominay and Fred know how to play together. They've played with each other enough that they know exactly where they're going to be and what they have to do. And I think both players have kind of raised their levels with all the other kind of central midfielders that have come in, because you have to think about it. Everybody's been raving about Matic, Bruno, Pogba, and then when Van de Beek comes in. So both of them also need to raise their levels to get into these games. And to be fair to them, fair play. You're starting in the PSG game and you're playing big minutes in the second game, which, look, you got through probably two of your hardest games in the Champions League thus far.
I think as well. I think, doesn't Fred get the assist for the Rashford second goal? Doesn't he? He's the one that pokes it away, I think, that puts Rashford through for his second goal. I think he does anyway. So, but
he also poked it to Pogba for the Greenwood goal.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing with Fred is that, for me, Fred's strength is his energy in his game, is an enthusiasm for the game. For me, that is Fred's big positive. So in that diamond, like you said there, where you think he has to get out wide, then he might have to come more central. I think that suits him, actually. The more he can actually give him license to go and hunt the ball down when he's not in possession, I think he thrives there. And the other thing that I like about Fred as well is sometimes, I agree with everything you guys said, his passing can be a bit off. It can be sort of not on point, but actually he's always looking for the right pass. I feel he's always looking to try and get the ball to the right people on the field. So I think, that's got to be applauded for. You look at his passing in this game compared to maybe the PSG game. I thought his passing in the PSG game was brilliant, to be fair. He was getting the ball to Fernandes regularly and doing it accurately. That's the difference today. He wasn't quite as accurate, but again, he was trying the right passes with what he was doing.
Yeah, absolutely. What I will say, look, guys, is that we look at the midfield. You can change it up on a game-by-game basis. And it's something that Man United haven't had for a very, very long time. Even under Sir Alex, when we won the league with Cleverley and Anderson in the midfield with Michael Carrick, the guy's just a genius. But this is a point. I honestly think this Man United squad is as strong as it's been, at least for 7 years. And I think that this is the point that we don't have to have Bruno playing every single game. We don't have to have Pogba playing. Pogba was playing further forward. And I myself and Pauly were arguing with someone on Twitter yesterday, and it just grates. We all know what Pogba doesn't do, but you know what? People have to give him credit for what he does do, because he looked heads and shoulders above everyone in that first half. What he does need to work on probably is holding onto the ball a bit too long, and that comes, I suppose, with decision making. But he played further forward, and people need to remember as well, Van der Beek first start in a big game. And if you actually watch the way we set up defensively when we were without the ball, he was playing as a striker. Martial and Greenwood on the other side, and Van der Beek started that press.
Is in that false nine role.
Yeah, in that false nine role. And guys, and when did we have a player like that? Because that would have been Bruno. But you take Bruno out. Martial can't do that role, in my opinion. He doesn't work hard enough. You could probably play Rashford there, he's not playing, but you put Van der Beek there. The amount of times Van der Beek started the press, so clever with his awareness. Yeah, it was fantastic today. And this is a point that we played 4 midfielders, but we weren't necessarily all compact and tight like this. We played, obviously, with 2 defensive midfielders and then 2 attacking midfielders, essentially.
What you just said, though, about that midfield is so crucial. Yesterday, United Arena tweeted about the lineup from 07-08. It was like, there used to be a time where this was our team. Tevez, Rooney, Giggs, Carrick, Scholes, Ronaldo, Evra, Vidic, Ferdinand, Neville and
squad?
And I responded, I'm like, that 11 never played together, like ever, mostly because Neville was injured. But then I was like, there had to have been plenty of games where we just had, was just Wes Brown in for Neville. No, like Wes Brown in for Neville and the rest of that lineup, like once, because every other game you looked at and you're like, well, it had to be this game. And it was like, no Anderson played, no Hargreaves played, no Fletcher played, no Park came in, no Nani came in. Like, and now you're looking at, for the first time in a long time, you're looking at, we can do that. Like, who's going to start up top? It's going to be Martial, but it could be Cavani. We're going to bring Greenwood in today. Like, or we're going to go Rashford, Cavani, and Martial up top, or we're going to go to this diamond. Like, who's going to be in there? It's going to be Matic and Fred, or is it going to be Fred and McTominay? There's so many different options. And this is, everybody said, why'd they sign Van de Beek? This is exactly why we signed Van de Beek, because the issue at the end of last season was we played the same team every game. We ran out of gas. Now, exactly. Now you get the chance where we're looking at it like, I don't know who we're going to pick. I don't know who we're going to pick for Arsenal. I genuinely don't. This is the most, I guess, like 9 out of the 11 players today, but I'm the most, I don't know where to go for Arsenal that I've ever been in a long time.
One thing I will say, Pauly,
Completely agree.
before I bring Mark into this, because we need to move on to a few other players who spoke about the midfield in a lot of detail. But what I will say, and I might as well pass this over to you, Mark, is that actually I'm confident now, whatever Ollie puts out there, there's going to be a plan to it. Because you know what? If he's going to put Fred and McTominay out, then we're going to look to play a bit more compact. If he's going to play the same team here, he's going to look to press a little bit more. If he decides to play Bruno, Matic, and Pogba, okay, then again, he wants a bit more ball-playing ability in midfield. That might be a bit of an issue if you do that, but he can go to a 3, he can go to a 4. It's that flexibility. And when people say Ollie doesn't have tactics, he doesn't know his team, that's nonsense, because he can go and change it 3 times. You can play, we were almost like a 4-3-3 out of the ball today.
Right, and he changes during the game.
Yeah, during the game.
Even without the subs, like there were times where Matic was dropping in, and we were in a back 3 with Wan-Bissaka and Shaw pushing up higher, and we'll do that for 5-6 minutes until you realize that we're doing it, and then we change again.
Exactly, Mark. I'm going to bring you in. Nemanja Matic. For me, I've always said he's the key to Man United's anything positive going forward. He's that foundation, and the reason why United was so open at the beginning of the season is because Matic wasn't fit, and Ollie struggled to find a way to actually solve Matic not playing, and he's found a way because he played Fred and McTominay. But looking at Matic as well, we always said we want to play him sparingly. He can't play more than 1 game a week. A fresh Nemanja Matic is incredible for Man United's chances going forward.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I've said all summer on so many podcasts now that he is the most underrated Manchester United player we have. And you're absolutely right. He's, this is an unfortunate situation to be in. He's getting on a bit. He can't play 2 games. I think that's probably one of our biggest things that we should be looking at in the summer, quite honestly. He really is brilliant, and as you say, he can really anchor that midfield, drop back and really sort of gain possession. That's the difference between Fred and him for me, is I feel that Matic doesn't lose the ball, which Fred needs to learn, and Fred is able to retrieve the ball much quicker because he's got the pace. So if you were to have an amalgamation of those 2 together and have a best of both worlds, it would be phenomenal. But he really is brilliant, and I just only wish he was a bit younger in order to be able to play him every week. He was great. I was really chuffed with Donny van der Beek tonight. I know we've kind of touched on it as well, but I just want to say a couple of bits. I've been, as you know in the chat, I've been banging on every week and showing how disappointed.
Have you wanted him involved? I'm not quite sure.
I thought you wanted him benched.
He was my player of the season before the season kicked off.
Yeah. He was, wasn't he? Oh my god! And we all laughed at you.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
He's got to play to get that award, mate. He's got to play to actually win that.
He's got to play 90 minutes to get that.
Yeah.
Mark's going to be the guy that's banging the stats like, oh, Van de Beek, like we have a 100% record with him, and like we haven't conceded a goal. It's like, yeah, but like Luton Town and Brighton's B team.
No, come on. Look, we all know he's great, and it doesn't matter if he hasn't played that much and he hasn't started. Every time he's come on, he's been a breath of fresh air, and you want that. I have not seen anybody come in other than Bruno. But I feel, Bruno. Thank you. I got there just before you bastard.
Martial.
But, I have not seen anyone. his you can see it. You know, when he's off the ball, the what he's trying to do, and the way that he's. I tell you what, at some point I'll be able to get a word in edgeways. I'll be able to get a word in edgeways.
No, I'm sorry. One last question I've got for you, Mark. To look short.
Yeah,
what I will say is that. Okay, all right, relax. Come on, guys, come on, boys. No, what I will say is Paul Pogba, fantastic today, really fantastic. And you know what? There are people, like we said maybe 2 months ago, saying they expect him to be a hybrid of Roy Keane and Scholes. It's so unfair. And someone said yesterday, myself and Pauly were like this, right? Someone said the pass that he did for Mbappe for the final in the World Cup was all that was all Mbappe's run. All he had to do was kick it into space. I mean, Pogba, it's a bit like Ollie, isn't it? Pogba, some people just won't give him any credit. And at the end of the day, he was fantastic today. And we looked a different side of him further forward, playing almost in that left-hand side channel. And him and Van der Beek were linking beautifully. There's more players in this team with Van der Beek coming in with that IQ, that footballing IQ, which we haven't had for a long time. And United are a team like this, and they've gone to a team like that in terms of the intelligence in the team. And that's great to see, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mark.
Asking me. Sorry, I thought I wasn't.
Wake up!
I thought I wasn't allowed to talk tonight, you bastards. So that was it. It's GG for me. Yeah, Pogba was brilliant tonight. I mean, we know what he's capable of. He's a lovely player when he's on form. And again, just like everybody, I am going to get a quilt cover
and the curtains,
and I'll bring it on the show next time. Yeah, Thomas the Tank curtains.
With
anyway,
Speedos.
Yeah, behave. No, so yeah, Pogba, we all know how he can play, and we want to see that more of him. And you know, it's like everybody, we seem to taint him with a different brush. You know, everybody has been unfit. Everyone was making mistakes, but everyone was obviously jumping on Paul Pogba's back. Now, if you ask me, he just needed match fitness like everybody else. And you know, he's come in, he's played bit parts in the last couple of games, coming on and doing really well. He started today, played a full 90 minutes and was brilliant. And it's good to see. And I'm not I'm a huge admirer of Pogba. I think he is a wonderful player on the eye, and I wish people would just kind of get off his back a little bit. I think that you know, he is one of those players, as we said, everybody knows this. I don't need to sound like a broken record, but he's one of those players that can change games. And when he plays like that, you know, a striker is only as good as the pass they receive, in order to get a goal, right? And he's the
what a novel concept.
It is well, there you go.
The midfielders only as good as the strikers who run onto the end of their passes.
Well, this is it. But I tell you what, you'll be able to sleep well tonight, Pauly. You'll be able to sleep well tonight.
Like that guy who said that about Pogba, what is wrong with passing the ball into space? It's called pass appreciation.
Because
right on Mbappe's foot from 40 yards away with no run up. And the guy's response was, if Mbappe wasn't there, it wouldn't have been a good pass.
Who are you passing the ball to? And I bet Mbappe, for me, is going to want that ball in space about 5 yards, 10 yards in front of him, so he can go onto it. That's how he wants to do it.
Jonathan's comment here is exactly what me and Pauly were saying. We didn't want to say it, but that was exactly the tint it was. Yeah. And at the end of the day, that is what it is with Paul Pogba, because at the end of the day, Pogba isn't like a typical,
he divides opinion.
He divides opinion. I don't want to go into it too much because I think he's fantastic. I want to focus on his performances. Guys, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm sorry I'm being shameless, but do that. And tomorrow, myself and Rob will be doing the masterclass where we'll be breaking this down tactically. So make sure you subscribe because that'll be out tomorrow, probably just after midday. We'll record it at 11 o'clock. Look, I'm going to bring Ciaran into this, and then I'm going to bring Pauly because I think there's going to be two differing opinions on this. And this is our good friend, Luke Matthew Shaw. I just made that up. I don't know his name. But look, listen, Luke Shaw is
very gospel-y.
You could have given him a funnier middle name, like Lawrence.
I don't want to be one of those that calls him fat because, you know, he's not fat. And this is something that annoys me.
Haider, what circles are you hanging in, mate? If your good friend is Luke Shaw, mate, you need to get us wrong. You're in the wrong.
Yeah, I do, mate. You know, it's the podcasting gig's getting big, mate. It's you know, just
hold on. His actual middle name is like way better and hilarious. He's got two middle names. It's Luke Paul Hoare, Hoare.
Hoare Shaw.
Luke Paul Shaw.
You got to be careful how you say that
Winner.
other middle name, I'll tell you, to be honest. You want to be careful how you pronounce that. Yeah, go on.
Anyway, we're going to move on because Luke Shaw. Okay, I can't even read it. Anyway, so Luke Shaw.
go on.
Ciaran, I'm going to start with you. Luke Shaw, look, he's definitely upped his performance levels. I think there's no doubt about it. And I think he gets a big chunk of the criticism because he's not fancied. It's a bit like Pogba. People have something against Luke Shaw in the same way they do against Paul Pogba. But you have to give him credit in the sense where he's definitely upped his performances. He looks a bit more solid. He does drive forward. But for me, and like you said in the group chat many times, the ball comes to him on that left-hand flank. Pauly, I'll let you respond in a minute because I'm definitely on the view as well that Luke Shaw needs to be upgraded on if we want to be moving forward. And it stops. He looks inside, passes back inside. Although he's improved as a fullback, if United are going to play that system, if they look to play a diamond, you need your fullbacks to be more attacking. And Luke Shaw isn't the answer for that, is he? And it looks like here that Tellez has COVID. Is that true, Jonathan? That is
okay. Well, then that's very interesting. That makes sense. Why he wasn't involved. Look, I don't want to be extremely negative on a day that we win 5-0, but look, I've
otherwise.
Yeah, I said it in the first half because again, Luke Shaw for me is where attacks die because it hits him and you can be getting those kind of quick passes going. We look like we're going to counter, hits Luke Shaw, and suddenly he stops the ball, and the defense gets those few seconds and can get back into their shape. And look, I think any good professional at a big club that when somebody comes in as competition, you raise your game. If you don't, then you're never going to make it at a big club. So you have to say that's great for Luke Shaw to raise his game. But look, we also have to look at long-term who's going to be the option there. Look, for me, he's fine as a left back. I said I like him when he plays left centre back when we play the 5 because I think he's solid. But I don't think he offers enough going forward. And the problem is he doesn't mix with the attacking players that we have because when we play with the 3 up front, and I've said it before, he goes in the exact same spots as Rashford does. You only have to look at the game.
Rashford goes in the spots.
Hold on, Pauly. All you have to do is look at the weekend when we played against Chelsea. Bruno literally told him to overlap. And what did he do? He stayed in the same area. There was space in behind the defense and he didn't do it because he's used to just staying there and cutting inside. Now, you look at when Rashford plays on the left, he wants to cut inside because he wants to cut onto his right foot. Luke Shaw's left-footed. Go beyond the defender and put in a cross. He put in some good crosses today. So why don't you do that and actually give some of our players a chance, especially if we're going to play Cavani in the team. He's going to win headers, so you need to be able to put the ball in. It's the one thing that I've always said about Luke Shaw is he just doesn't have the same attacking intent that he had before he got injured. And I don't care what anybody tells me, you can put up whatever stats. I look with 2 sources, my left eye and my right eye, and both of them tell me he doesn't do it enough and he doesn't attack with the intent that we need from our wing backs. And for me, it's annoying because you see a good attack that can possibly happen. It hits Luke Shaw and suddenly it all stops. And that needs to improve, in my opinion.
You're highlighting the one time on Saturday.
It's not one time. It's not one time.
Every chance he got to overlap or on Saturday, he did it. Except for that one time where it's off the corner and he is one of 3 guys back. If he vacates that spot, you are opening up yourselves to a counterattack. This is why when everybody says, oh, with this defense, I'm worried about being hit on the counter, we don't concede. Even with Matic has no pace, Maguire has no pace, Lindelof has no pace. We don't concede goals on counters because we're good at stopping them before they happen. If Shaw vacates that position, we're in trouble. And what happens if he does? Chelsea still have 2 men there. And what happens? He booms it across. We had 4 guys in the box. Chelsea had 8. They had 8 guys in the box. We had just boomed the cross in on the corner, and it didn't work. Instead, what happened on the same play? What happened on the same play is he goes to Lindelof. Lindelof makes a run in forward. He gives it to Pogba. United got their second best chance of the game off that play. So Shaw not overlapping on that play, which was the right thing because he had to maintain his position. Otherwise, there's nobody back if something goes wrong. Now,
Okay, but
you're right that Shaw doesn't provide a lot going forward, but that's not his game. Like he makes a lot of runs. He makes a lot of these underlapping runs that are dumbing runs. They pull a defender off and free up space for other players. He did it a lot on Saturday. He did it a lot tonight, and it frees up space for Pogba, and it's important. And Brandon Williams doesn't make those runs, and it's a problem.
Because he's right-footed, and he likes to come back on the inside of his right.
But even when Shaw's not going to offer anything, but just making the run and making a defender come with you is important. And Shaw does that. Now, Ciaran's right. Like if you give him the ball there, he's not going to do much with it. And that, his game is more of a fullback who tucks into midfield and plays as that second holding midfielder.
When your other fullback is Wan-Bissaka, then you've got a problem. So we're not saying Shaw's a bad player. We're not saying that. He has improved. He does.
It's about what you ask your fullbacks to do. So Liverpool asked both of their fullbacks to get forward. City only asked one.
No one's saying them.
City only asked one. So
it's clear that the left-hand side fullback is the one that's more advanced for Man United. So if that's the case, then you need someone who's better going forward. Luke Shaw is
brought in a game. Shaw was fine.
Shaw wasn't centre back as a 3. He's absolute quality.
He's also in a game tonight. He wasn't a negative. He wasn't a negative. It's not his game to provide width and boom and across because also, again, if Cavani's in there, it's a different story. But Rashford, Martial, Greenwood aren't exactly great there. And to be honest, how did the game start? He takes the first set piece, which again, that's weird. But again, nobody else on the pitches could take set pieces. He completes it. He puts it right. Maguire puts it on his head. United get a good chance. They didn't score. The ball comes right back out. Shaw puts another cross in that he completes. Later on, he did the same thing. He whooped in a very dangerous cross that just missed Martial and Greenwood's head and just got past Lindelof and Maguire. So does he provide you enough? No, but that's why you signed Alex Telles. But in a game like this where you don't need your fullbacks to be getting forward, or in a game like against Chelsea where you want to play more conservatively to watch out for those counterattacks, then he is a very viable out. Is he a world-class left back? No, by no means is he. But in those games where you want someone to get more forward, where you don't have to worry as much about somebody coming back the other way, that's where Alex Telles is going to thrive. And that's why we went out and signed Alex. That's why we prioritized getting another left back. That doesn't mean you should freak out when you see Shaw on the team sheet, because exactly tonight, he was great. And he's, it's defense first sometimes. And I understand Wan-Bissaka Wan-Bissaka had 4 assists last year. Let's not pretend he does. His problem again is in the buildup, which as Ciaran is pointing out, Shaw's problem is in the buildup, but he's by far better than Williams there. But again, that's why you went and got Alex Telles. So sometimes it'd be great if you could play him in a way that he can, when you do push up into attack, he can just tuck in and be that second holding midfielder the way that Kyle Walker does at City. And you could ask Rashford and maybe Pogba to be more of your creative options on the left. Maybe we'll see that going forward. Yeah, if you do need to have him go forward and be the one offering creativity, you have problems. But again, that's why you signed Telles.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Sorry, can I just come in?
Yeah, go on, Joe.
For me, the issue here is not even about his intent to go forward or his technique when he gets forward or his ability. For me, and I don't want to jump on the Luke Shaw fitness thing, but it is a fitness issue for me, I believe, because I think the thing with Luke Shaw for me and my criticism of him is that when it comes to doing the hard yards, I think he will always let you down in a game. I think his tank is not the best, and I'm not just on about going forward. You see it when players beat him. I hate to see it, but he does it all the time. A player will beat him down the side, and instead of trying to recover his position, he'll just take the easy option and trip or pull, and it is very frustrating. And I just think he doesn't. I don't know whether he doesn't want to or he can't because of the injury. I don't know, but I think he struggles with the pace of a game and what's expected of him in that left back position, and that's not just going forward. I think you see it going backwards sometimes as well. He doesn't want to chat back a lot of the time.
Yeah, look, the one thing that I would say, and my comments on Luke Shaw aren't just on tonight. I don't think he did anything in particular that was wrong. I'm saying it more in general. When we go back and think of when Luke Shaw was most dangerous at United, we think of before the injury. So he's had to change his game because I don't know if it's just he doesn't have the same, like Joe was saying, maybe it's not the same level of fitness he was able to get to before. Maybe his body shape has changed. But he needs to add a little bit more if he's going to be one of those outlets at the left wing, especially in the games where we do have a lot of the ball. Because in the smaller games, let's say if it's a 0-0 or we're losing 1-0 in the Premier League, we're going to need him to do something because the defense focus in on our attacking players and they double up and Shaw gets space. You see it all the time on the left wing. The problem is, even when he has space on that left side, he still stops the ball and tries to put it back inside where it's already congested. He needs to be able to supply more. If he crosses the ball more and goes in behind, it's not that it's always going to return a goal, but it gives the defense something else to think about. And that's what I think he needs to improve on in this attacking side for us to get to the next level.
There are several times where he starts carrying the ball forward and Rashford is on that touchline and just stays put. And all of a sudden, Shaw runs into a wall because there's a midfielder closing him down and the fullback is now waiting for him. Whereas opposed to when Rashford, it happened against Chelsea last week. It was Dan James was on the left side. As Shaw started carrying the ball forward, he started jogging forward, which made the defender back up, and Shaw's able to play him behind it. He's able to play behind, and United get a good chance there. And
but the majority of the time he gets the ball, he passes inside.
Against Brighton, it's Bruno is on the left side. He does the same thing. He starts running. Make sure to stay on side. But he starts running, which forces the fullback to actually watch out for him, and it opens up space. Shaw runs through, wins a free kick that we score on. There's so many times that Rashford just stays put, and then Shaw runs, and all he can do is lay it off to Rashford. And now there's three players right on Marcus Rashford.
You're making excuses for Luke Shaw right now.
It's because some of his failure is you're going to see the same thing with Telles because some of it is on Rashford. Rashford
did against PSG.
Rashford is on the other side of the field.
It won't be on Rashford anymore because Rashford's.
Let's move on from Luke Shaw because I want to be
Luke Shaw has far better numbers and has all of his assists have come when Rashford isn't playing on the left wing.
Let's move on, guys. Let's move on. Joe, moving on. Let's finish on the positive note. That made me laugh way too much, mate. Okay, so we're going to have two final things we're going to talk about, guys. We're going to talk about just United's chances in general. We'll do that for a couple of minutes. I want to try and hit 1 hour, so we've got 7 more minutes, and then we'll talk about Rashford quickly. At the end, Mark will come to you unless you need to go.
I'll see. That tickled me so much.
So good.
On a bike.
You made a good point there, to be fair. But no, look, Mark, what frustrates me the most is that when you're looking around at the league table, and James Jackson said something earlier about it, he said, and I've had many discussions with him about it as well, and I said to him, Man United have a strong squad this season, and that's why I suppose I was a bit hard on Ollie, because I look at that squad and I think there's quality right through it. Yes, we know the defensive problems, but you're looking at that first 11 and options off the bench. We've seen that tonight. We've seen it in the past few games, that United have depth on par with a lot of the other top sides. So that was my thing always. I think what's frustrating is that we're so consistently inconsistent, aren't we? And any team that can put 10 to 15 game run together can find themselves challenging for the title. Now, we need to obviously put the brakes on. I'm not saying Man United are going to win the title, but there's no reason why United can't go and be the dark horse team that no one wants to play in the Champions League, because they're so devastating on the counter and they've got so many players that can unlock a defense. There's no reason why United can't go into the Premier League. Liverpool looks shaky. As Pauly said in the group chat, that I'd love to be playing Liverpool tomorrow because we could get at them. There's no reason why, because no one stood out. And if United can sort their defense out and get some more goals in their team, why can't we go and challenge for some of the biggest honours?
Yeah, you're right. Why not? We should be aiming for that. We should be looking to do that. You know, we all criticize the window, and you know the players that we potentially missed out on, or at least Ollie's first go-to transfers. And it's just, you have to sort of be a bit real and just get on with it. And I think he's shown that. Look, United haven't always had the best starts to the season. It was typical under Fergie. He might be a little bit rocky for the first few games. Now, I'm not saying that we've had our blip, but it's best to come at the start of the season. But we've got a good run of form at the moment. We're now, as I mentioned earlier, we've now got potential 3 formations we can play. We've got people challenging for different positions. We've seen a step up in Luke Shaw. I don't care what anyone says. He's not the same player since his double leg break. It's a double leg break, guys. Yeah, that would affect you psychologically as well. But he has been the best he has ever been since he's joined United under Ollie, and whether that's defensively going forward, look, we're seeing a better player there, and if he's going to step up with Tellez coming in, fantastic news. Yeah, and I'm pleased with him. But it's great to see that. It's great to see that we've got sort of a bit of dynamic, and we've got lots of players that can fill positions. As you all said earlier, we don't know who's going to start against Arsenal, and that's brilliant. We don't want to be guessing the team sheet every week. If Arsenal can't guess the team sheet, then they're not going to. But do you know what I mean? So it's a good position to be in, and it's nice to be able to have that headache and problem. Oh, I think we lost. I thought we lost me a bit there. Sorry. So there's no reason if we can build up. As you say, if we can get 15 games to see, what we're really all about, then why not? Look, we came third. We didn't expect that last season. We got to 3 semi-finals. We should be doing better than that. Why not push on and get it? I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but we're aiming for top 4. Why can't we maybe get to second? We've had, we've had a poor start, but so have City. Liverpool looked very rocky. All the teams that you expected. Okay, so it's all about sort of longevity and trying to pick up those points so that we can do that. And it's exciting. It brings excitement back, and that's what you want to see. I get really, just one last thing. Sorry, I've waffled a bit. I get really frustrated with people that seem to go from one extreme to the other. They're quite happy to criticize when we're doing awful, but then they're not. They absolutely deserve. So
I'm frustrated with them too.
Go on, Joe.
No, I think, look, if we're talking about Everton can win the league this season, that tells you all you need to know about this Premier League, doesn't it? It's open, and the only reason United are in that conversation, to be fair, for me, at this point anyway, is because it is so open. Because obviously we're going to rely on these teams like you always do to win a league to slip up from time to time. So, but I think, we've seen it with Ollie before. He can win 9, 10 games, 11 games on the spin sort of thing. And if you do that in this Premier League this season, you're going to be in a damn good position, especially if he does it, say, from the next 10 coming forward now, which is difficult considering that one of them's Arsenal at the weekend, and obviously we got Everton away the week after, albeit maybe not quite the same Everton as it was at the start of the season. So that makes it a bit different. But we're then coming into a run of games where we probably have a bit more of a chance to put a run together. And that's what Ollie's done since he's come in. That's been his thing, hasn't it? Getting us playing in spurts. And hey, I don't want to become one of these fans that a couple of good performances, we can win the league. But it's
that's what we want to avoid.
That's why I'm trying to stay clear from.
It's going to be one of them seasons, both in the Premier League and the Champions League for me as well, because I think the Champions League for me, I've always said anyway, is more on the draw, to be honest. If you get a kind draw, you can get a lot further than what you probably should do. So if that, but we're good in Europe. I'm struggling to put, you guys are the tacticians, so you probably know more than me, but you look at us in the Europa League. Against Sevilla in the semi-final last year, we were brilliant. This seems to be something about the way we play seems to suit playing against European sides.
Let me say one thing. If we play Donny every week, we'll win the league.
When you put them curtains up, Mark.
Yeah. Well, it'd just be a good omen, wouldn't it? Maybe I should put them up and then we start them every week and win the league. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, Ciaran. Donny will. Just say quickly. Donny will play a massive part. If United win anything this season, Donny will have to play a massive part, as of a lot of other people. But isn't it nice now that when we want to rotate Fernandes, we're bringing in Donny van der Beek rather than bringing in Pereira or Lingard? You know what I mean? So
yeah, exactly. I think just to answer your question there about what makes it different about Europe, I think there's more space so that you see the attacking players not always getting crowded out. So you see, it's the same reason why we even say it to a certain extent with the likes of Lindelof defensively. He doesn't get battled as much in the Champions League or Europa League, so it kind of suits more of his style. So I think it's just the style of our players suits kind of the European style of football, and it's difficult when you're coming up against a combative team in the Premier League. I think we've done enough podcasts, Haider, to kind of know what the issues are this year in the Premier League. It's whoever is going to be the most consistent team are going to win the league. The problem is, no matter what we say about Liverpool and how they've been shaky, they're still getting results. Okay, they haven't looked the same as last year, but they're still getting the results. Look, other than the Villa game, that was crazy. But
got the attack, haven't they, Ciaran? We've got to remember that as well.
They've still got one of the best attacks in the Premier League. Man City are the team that look a bit odd. I could easily see where I would have expected them to come out because of what happened last year, and it was a bad title defense. I thought they would have been coming out really, really fast. They haven't. And
no preseason as well, though.
I think everybody knows. It's kind of common knowledge that this is probably Pep's last year with Man City, because look, he hasn't signed a new contract yet. There hasn't even been a lot of talks in the paper that there's been discussion. So it seems like that one could be coming towards the end. So that can go one of two ways. You see it where a team gets divided and sounds out a manager that they know isn't going to be sticking around, or do they all kind of go along with them and try and win in that last year, if it will be his last year. In a year that we talk about, like Joe said, Everton possibly winning it, there's no reason why a dark horse team can't win the league. United, when you look at the players on paper, they should be up there. The issue I've always had is we are too inconsistent. You look at our strikers, just for example, and they go through spurts of scoring loads and loads of goals and then suddenly don't score for 5 or 6, 7 weeks. And that's a big issue. When do you see with the likes of Liverpool when Mane and Salah don't score for 6 or 7 weeks? It doesn't happen. It's probably 1 or 2 games at the most with those two. And that's why you saw them be able to kind of bring them over the line. Now, a lot of people talk about Spurs early on because of just how good Kane and Son have been, and we know how good Mourinho is at setting up a defense. So they'll be difficult to beat. I just don't think they're going to be consistent enough to win either. I still think it's Liverpool's title to beat, but they've become more beatable without Van Dijk there, because if they try to play that high line, they don't have the backup anymore. Because a lot of the time when you got past that high line, Van Dijk was able to get back and kind of secured the ball for them. They don't have that this year. So while it's more open, I still think we need to improve that consistency. I think one of the comments said it earlier that our consistency is like water. It hasn't happened, and it needs to improve if we are going to give ourselves even a chance to stay in a race for a title come the new year.
So when the season started, I said probably the biggest key that I wanted to see from Ollie was the ability to rotate your squad. It's hard to compete for 4 trophies in a season. It is, I would imagine, way harder to compete for 4 trophies or 3 trophies or 2 trophies in a 10-month season that is being condensed down into 9 months. And the biggest issue that I've had, that Ollie's had is we won how many on the bounce when he first came? We won 8 of 9 in the league and like 12 of 13 or something. But, it was basically the same 11 every game, because he basically said, this is my 11 and the rest of you aren't good enough to play the style that I want to play. And he ran him into the ground. And then, our best form last year was when we finally got our full team fit and he went, I only have 11 guys. I can't make any changes. And we tired him out again. So it was always going to be, can you rotate the team well? Even if we didn't sign players, can you get 90 minutes out of Lingard here and rest somebody there? Now that you have Van de Beek and Cavani and Tellez coming in, and McTominay is looking like a different player at times this year, that if you can plug them in, all of a sudden your squad is so much deeper that if you get it right, and like by all means, today it looked perfect. He got Bruno and Rashford 65 minutes of rest. And, I'm not saying you need to rest. You need to give them a full game off, but the ability to play 75, 80 minutes at the weekend and then 30 minutes midweek goes a long way in the season. I think last year, part of the inconsistency issues that we had coming out of Europe was we were playing Mata in Europe and Greenwood, and he didn't think that Greenwood was ready for the league, and he didn't want to play him twice a week, and Mata couldn't play twice a week anymore. So you're bringing back in Daniel James, who in the first half of the season was very good, but also Andreas Pereira or Jesse Lingard. And that's such a hole in the team that it makes it hard to win. Now, if you can go to Van de Beek and Pogba in the Champions League, and then back at the weekend to Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford and Edinson Cavani, and then throw Mason Greenwood in there, that's a huge difference. And the league is just so wide open because Liverpool, they've, even before Van Dijk's hurt, who knows what's happening? And Fabinho just got hurt. Who knows what's happening with that defense? And City there's so many questions about it. And I was looking at something, you guys are going to laugh at me for this, about age and how it affects teams when they, we saw this in the NBA lockout.
Sick again, is he?
We saw this in the NBA lockout when they had a shortened season in 1999. That hurt. They played a condensed season, and the older teams who were good and had been to the finals the year before, they struggled. And teams, we saw this in Project Restart. Older teams, Crystal Palace were the oldest team in the league, and they took 4 points in Project Restart. The older teams just fell apart down the stretch. So the younger teams really thrived. And United are one of the youngest teams in the league. So, when you think about it, you can't drink the way that you did back in uni. You don't recover the same way. It's just, it's easier for a 24-year-old to recover than a 28-year-old to recover, and let alone a 30 or 31-year-old. So we're built much better. Tottenham are playing unbelievable football right now, but take out Kane and Son. One of them gets hurt. Who's filling in there?
That comes down to depth, I think. The deepest teams really, I think, are going to be the ones that are going to see. Yeah. And
suddenly we're deep.
But that's the thing. I think we've mentioned it before, Haider, is that if we were as deep as we have in midfield for those options all around the pitch, I think we would definitely be. We would always be spoken about as one of those teams that could battle for a title. We have certain positions that we have a lot of depth, but then there's still those positions that we don't. And that's where I think over the next couple of seasons, we have to improve, whether it's bringing through, whether it's in the club already or through the transfer market. We need to improve that. If we can do that, then there's no reason why if we do it gradually, that in the next couple of years that we aren't competing for the title and do it properly.
Think about this, we're not going to see Palestri until at least January, but if he comes, if in January or February he's ready to play, if he's ready at that point, he'll make such an impact because he's got fresh legs. Everybody else is exhausted. And if Diallo comes in and he's ready, same thing. And it'll be so much easier for them to come in and make an impact because they're running against guys that are dead. So we are really built for this. The depth that we have added is really going to help us out in the long haul. Whereas opposed to Everton and Tottenham have added some good pieces to their first 11, the drop off to the next guys is substantial. That it'll be easier for us to find that consistency than as opposed to the teams that have started out now. They might be burning too bright and then they'll flame out.
Yeah, guys, the last thing I'll say on that is that no one gave United a chance coming into the season. The negativity was absolutely nauseating at times. No one thought United would be anywhere near. Even our own fans were saying we'll finish 6th, we'll finish 8th. It's absolute nonsense. Man United have been very quiet. Look, we're not happy necessarily we didn't strengthen all the areas we wanted to, but actually looking at these signings now when we've had time to sort of digest it a little bit, and also players have come good. People like Fred and McTominay have stepped up after the last half of last season. They weren't as influential as they are now. And then you're looking around, Axel coming back is huge for Man United. I don't think that can be underestimated. Axel, for me, I'm not saying he's Van Dijk. I'm saying the style of play. When we're talking about Van Dijk being the person that has a recovery pace in Liverpool's defense, Axel is that for our defense. Axel coming in will make everyone immediately look better.
I was happy to see the 11 today because I think I don't think Axel's ready to play twice in a week yet.
I think he plays.
And I'd rather him play against Arsenal. So at least now I know he's got a shot at playing against Arsenal. If he played tonight, I would have been like, well, he's definitely out.
What I will say is, Onka's got a question here. It's popped up there, but you were asking what if Jadon Sancho, because we haven't bought him, is that why Ollie's changing around? I think 100%. We don't have wingers in the squad, and the day that Ollie I say the day, it's Spurs really that changed everything for us. Sometimes you need these defeats. In hindsight, you need them because that kicked him into place and said, "Look, I need to do something different here." The coaching
you learn
staff
more
went
from
back.
failure. That's what every successful person ever says. You have to fail at first.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at it now, and if Sancho was here, would we be playing differently? Yeah, probably. We'd probably be playing more 4-2-3-1, I would say, more regularly. But the fact is, the matter is that we've got 4: Cavani, Greenwood, Martial, Rashford. I'm not getting overexcited, but that's the sort of depth that we had in '99.
You can get excited. We won 5-0 today.
Yeah, this is my point though after Chelsea, Haider. This is my point of Chelsea. If you don't give Solskjaer the players that he needs to be able to play the way he wants, this is going to happen. And for the first time on the weekend, I think we saw a bit of self-preservation from Ollie in terms of he's got to think about his job a little bit here as well. I mean, he could have really gone for it against Chelsea.
If he'd lost, he might have been out of a job.
Off again against Tottenham. And I think, to be fair, we've seen Ollie, he puts the club first, and I'm sure he did. I'm sure he team first all the time with Ollie. But at some point, you've got to think, actually, at what point do I put a team out here that if it goes wrong, it's going to look really bad on me? And I think that was the same for Ollie and Frank. I think you could see that in both managers.
And Arteta will do the same this weekend. Myself and Ciaran spoke to an Arsenal fan and said, Pete, by the way, guys, that's going to drop. That was absolutely phenomenal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Ciaran? Incredible Arsenal fan. Great insight. And
Arsenal, Chelsea, defensive. They don't attack at all. They're super defensive.
Yeah,
it actually worries me.
They're 6 months behind us in terms of our development. You look at us here. We remember where we were at the beginning of last season when we didn't have any creative players. We had no way of getting the ball. This is where Arsenal.
Did you see the passing chart from last week? It was hilariously pathetic.
But see, that's it. But see, the problem is then when, depending on how we play, if we go all out to try and break that down because they have a really good defense, it's actually hard to get through. If we score early, I think it won't be too of a difficult game for us. But if it goes later on and we start pushing forward, we can get caught by them because they still have the likes of Aubameyang.
I'm really worried about this game because I have a feeling it's going to look a lot like when Arsenal played City, which was just two managers trying to outsmart each other, and they both ended up completely overthinking things. I still think we're going to play defensively because, again, that clean sheet number is the most important number to Ollie right now. Coming off that 6-1, you got to get into the routine of doing that. So he will bolster up that midfield, but that's what worries me, that we're just going to see a really boring game where one bad bounce, anything could happen.
Mark, last word, and then we're going to wrap up, guys.
We struggled to break small teams down. So I think it's going to be tough against Arsenal this weekend.
It will. They'll sit deep. But guys, look, what I will say is what an absolutely fantastic victory. This is what United fan base deserves after so many years of difficult performances, abject performances. What I will say is, like I said, the reason why I asked a question to you guys and the listeners about how far we can go is because I know inside the squad when like, for example, Rob Blanchett knows people and he speaks to the squad, and the atmosphere and the morale in the squad is tip-top shape. They were never unhappy, and that is huge. And they'll know quietly. They've just gone and tonked the semi-finalists of the Champions League last year with one of the best up-and-coming managers, 5-0. They beat PSG on their own turf, 2-1. Boys, we have a great opportunity this season. We just need consistency. But look, it's been an absolute pleasure doing the show with you boys today after such a fantastic victory. And to all the listeners, thank you very much for all your fantastic comments. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you hit it because tomorrow I'll be doing a podcast with Rob where we'll break it down tactically. So have a lovely